Welcome to another lore video. And the big news is we can now rescue some of the poor souls who are trapped inside the Titans. And I'll be putting a ship together and going in to show you that in this video. First, a quick update on the other bits of story, and I'll also be discussing some discoveries by players that have some interesting consequences for the war and the narrative later on. After the defreeze logs, which appeared to implicate Zachary Rackham as a pirate that Brianna Blanco has been accusing him of being, he's pulled out of the presidential elections. This article discusses the permutations, with Rackham himself still denying any connections to a piratical past, but retiring from the race because the rumours are distracting from the election process. Others, of course, see this as weasel words because he's scared that further investigation would put his history beyond doubt, and that would end him anyway. Whatever the truth about his past, he's out of the race. His stocks and investments have taken heavy hits, and some of his sponsors are already deserting him. So whatever else might happen to him personally is for the future, but for now, he's out of the election. Which leaves us wondering, was this whole Rackham story a bit of a gap filler while we wait for other parts of the story to develop? There's nothing wrong with having little storylines like this running for a bit of fun. Not everything has to be intricately tied to the super story, but they are always going to make people wonder if they have any relevance or point beyond that. If whoever wins the election is going to change the Federation in any way that actually affects us much in-game, that's going to happen whether Rackham is involved or not. Cynics have suggested this is because they don't want to change power play too much, but they always say that whenever there might be a major shift in how the powers either operate or how their personnel change. So I don't think that's it, but it does feel like as if it was pre-decided that he was going to drop from the running no matter what else happened, because, let's be honest, whenever there's a paper trail to follow or some logs to be found, players are going to do it. There was absolutely no chance that nobody would go and find the defreeze logs. So this isn't really the same as giving the players a chance to affect the outcome. It's more like giving us a small part to play just for fun in a decision that had already been made. It always seems like a bad thing when I say it like that, but no, as I say, there's nothing wrong with a few stories you can have fun with that are neither here nor there in the grand scheme of things, and they all help to flesh out the galaxy. Regardless, the upshot of it is, which is always more important and the more interesting part for me, not the event itself, but the consequences of it. The upshot is the Federation is now looking forward to the elections without any further distractions, and a community goal is currently running to bring supplies for a big pre-election party in Seoul. It's a rare goods community goal which some people don't like, but I've always been quite fond of them, as long as the goods are not thousands of light seconds from the star, which some of them are. They're at ridiculous, almost Hutton orbital distances to the station, but you're not just stuck with the usual big hauling ships to use on these. There's more variety, you know. The Asp and the Phantom are my preferred ships for small amounts of cargo over long distances, but you can use a wide variety of ships for a rares community goal, which is one thing in their favour compared to regular hauling, where those with carriers and the big three, you know, your 792-ton shieldless cutters are going to be dominating. Well, like the Federation, the Empire is still doing more navel gazing than anything to help, and this time it's about the Emperor, Orissa, who's yet to marry and produce an heir. Questions are being asked about what may happen if she fails to do this, and who the next emperor will be. The Deval line have had some genetic engineering along the way, so is this a big problem? It seems. To the public of a superpower that is completely trapped by its own traditions and can't see past the blinkers, maybe. But in the wider scheme of things, if Orissa does name a successor that isn't a direct descendant, but that leader continues to provide stability, it might not matter too much, and people will accept that while the method of succession has changed, the Empire remains much as it was. Perhaps Orissa will clone herself so she can rule forever. So do these criticisms have any bearing on the future of the Empire, or will the Empire strike back at its critics with an attack of the clones? The narrative continues to make the superpowers look like they're all talk and no action, and it all seems like much ado about nothing at the moment, but we'll see. On to the war, and some developments there include Operation Redacted, and this was a test by Alex Zuno and his crew to try and find out if the Titans themselves could cause new alerts, or if they needed control systems for that. And if they do, then does the Titan simply act as a control and turn another system within 10 light years into a new alert, or does it do something else, something specific to Titans? The process they used is a bit long to go into every detail, but it involved carefully selecting targets in order to isolate certain systems so that only the Titan itself and not other controls would be able to re-attack those systems. And they cleared out systems within 10 light years of Legong during their test, then waited to see if Legong itself, as the only attacker left, could actually attack. It was not able to attack on the expected week, so it seems reasonable to conclude, so far at least, that Titans themselves cannot cause nearby systems to go into alert. In other words, the Titans do not attack surrounding systems, their control systems do that, and they're still the only systems that can do that as far as we can tell. The upshot of which is that at some point we will be able to stop all attacks at a Titan, and also to hold groups of inner systems by severing their link to the Titan. Unless other things like Tharnical sites throw a spanner in the works, of course. So, yeah, great work by Alex and his crew to discover that. It's a useful information, extremely useful information, that informs our future strategies. Meanwhile, Operation Kleenex is continuing to clear unpopulated alert systems before they become new controlled systems, and denying the Thargoids more territory, while others are taking out some of the controlled systems themselves, and this ongoing process is working slowly each week to reduce the number of systems under Thargoid control, the number of systems they can attack, and the number of populated systems attacked. A community goal ran for Aegis' modification to the subsurface missile in order to rescue the human captives, which we now know are inside the Titans. It was successful, and a new missile is now available to all at the rescue ships. You won't need more than one or two, as you'll see, because I'm now going to walk you through a build and how to do it. Note that the article makes an error here. It says hand in the recovered pods to any search and rescue contact, but we've since found out it has to be the contact at rescue ships, not just any old station as this suggests. We'll come back to this after we've taken a look at the rescue process. So if you're going to go for a rescue build to get pods from the Titans, you've got two choices really. You can either get something that goes in fast, stealthy, isn't there to fight, runs from a fight, or if you're lucky, evades your pursuers and allows you to pick up the pods, or you can go in there with something that can tank quite a bit of damage and maybe even fight back a bit. If you're going to do that, then probably the cutter is going to be your best bet. You can make it a shield tank, you can make it a hull tank. Unlike the Vet and the Anaconda, it's got a bit of speed going for it, and you could probably put a couple of weapons on it and take out glaives and scouts and scythes and that kind of thing. Otherwise, we're going in cold, we're going in stealthy, and I've chosen the Clipper for this. The reason being, we'll have a look at the build, but the reason why I'm going for the Clipper is because of the class 7 slot, in which you can put the universal multi-limpet controller. Now, although this is a little bit like subsurface mining, it's not like subsurface mining in the usual sense. So you're not trying to take as many missiles as you can, to hit as many fissures as you can, to release as many bits as you can. One missile successfully deployed is going to release about 8 pods. And so you'll be lucky to go through one of them. Okay, so let's take a look at this Clipper build. There's a subsurface extraction missile recently developed by Aegis after the recent community goal, and you can buy that at any rescue ship at all. You don't need to unlock it, don't need anything special for it, just go and buy one. The beam laser I've put in, it's a long range class 1 beam laser with thermal vent, simply to cool the ship down. It should drop below 20% most of the time anyway, but if I need to cool it down quickly, that's what the beam laser is for. In the utility slots, the pulse neutralizer to get past the Maelstrom's energy wave, the pulse wave scanner to scan the Titan while I'm in there, and a couple of caustic sink launchers which have had extra ammo engineered. Take them down to Ramtar, engineer them for extra ammo. It's well worth it, and it's a very simple upgrade to do. 2 of those, that should get me in and out of the Titan without dying, hopefully. You can engineer the armour if you want. For military grade composite, heavy duty deep plating, that'll give you a little bit more armour at the cost of a little bit of speed. Since I'm boosting to 619, I could probably do it and it would drop me to about 600 and I wouldn't really worry too much. The power plant is low emissions with thermal spread to keep it below 20%. The thrusters are dirty drive tuning with drag drives because it doesn't matter too much. You'll still drop below 20% heat, so you may as well have the extra speed. Because it's got a class 5 drive, you can put in one of the modified ones. So go and unlock one and whack it in. You may as well make the most of it. The life support, I've gone for an A-rated lightweight, so if it goes, I've got 20 minutes to get, 25 minutes really, to get out of there. 20 minutes if I've got some refills to refill it each time. The power distributor, I've just gone for the best one possible because like any other rescue ship, your main weapons are speed and the ability to permanently boost. The sensors are D-rated for as light as possible because putting a long range mod on it is going to double their mass. So D-rated and long range is the way to go there. Can't do anything about the fuel tank obviously. Go into the optional internals. And here is the universal multi-limpet controller with some cargo racks. I've put a couple of class 4 hull reinforcement packages in. You may want to put cargo racks in there instead and put the hull reinforcement packages in the 2 class 3 slots. That's an alternative build that I've seen, and it will give you about 8 more cargo space. I just had these engineered at the time, and it will do for the sake of 8 pods. I'm not going to worry too much. I've put an auto field maintenance unit in because there have been times when I've gone in and I got a few pods and then I got attacked by something and then I was able to lose it in the asteroids around the Titan and then sneak back, sit underneath the Titan and repair myself and carry on rescuing pods. And just, I've got a 1D engineered package in there. I had one left over from my scout killing vulture and it's a little bit more protection. So really there's not a lot to it. It's shieldless of course, because otherwise it would barely be able to carry any cargo at all. It's got 84 ton capacity and I've put 36 limpets in there, so that should be enough to get 80 pods if possible, and then have 4 limpets left over to repair my ship with if I get unlucky. Turn off one of your caustic sink launchers. Be ready to turn it back on if you need to, but turn it off for the moment because you don't want them both firing at once. People are going into all the maelstroms. I'm going into Tyrannus, partly because it's the one that's nearest to the star, and partly because as part of the Mode Alliance, Tyrannus is one of the maelstroms that we have been working very, very hard to safeguard. Tyrannus and Cassio usually. Recently as well we've been doing a lot of Indra. Indra is also the maelstrom that has the most AX reactivation missions. If you like those, Indra is the Titan to go to for that. And it's been another good week for the war effort in general. We had a couple of big invasions, but we managed to clear them. And now we're back to alerts only for this week, to be cleared for next Thursday. What's hyperdicting me? It could be anything, literally anything. I'm not going to wait and find out. He who hesitates is lost. The moment you drop into normal space, start boosting. Just start boosting. And you can even get away from a glaive if you do that, because you're just boosting before it can react to your presence. The very second you drop into normal space, boost. Do not hesitate, do not wait, do not worry about anything else at that point. If you've got an ECM, hit it. Otherwise, boost. Don't worry about heat either. You only really need heat sinks and silent running if they're close to you. If you're already boosting away from them, just keep boosting. They won't catch you. So the clipper's doing over 600 on boost. And it's boosting every 4 to 5 seconds. So it's ideal. I imagine that the Titans that are further away from the star, the interdictions are going to be absolutely ruthless as you make your way there. Look at this, interdicted already, and I've only just dropped into the system. Nuts. It's scouts.
Under attack, taking damage. Frame shift drive charging. 4, 3.
Nice agility as well, the clipper, I like it. Never really used one before, so it's nice to actually have a use for one of them. And a lot of this operation is really knowing when to cut and run. It's tempting to get greedy, to stay in and try and get those last few pods and think, oh, I'll be alright, I'll be alright. And then get destroyed. So the usual thing, don't get overconfident. Don't get too cocky, as I do a loop of shame. Know when to cut and run. And you can take these straight to the rescue ship, or you can store them on a carrier and deliver them later. You're cool. But we're coming into Tyrannus now. And this is all about speed. Have your caustic sink launcher ready. Have your pulse neutralizer ready. Now go. Ignore the signal marker that keeps jumping around. Just keep heading for this angry red bit in the center. I was chasing that around at the start. Don't. Just keep boosting. Keep an eye on your caustic. Eject sinks as necessary. Keep boosting and try and get to that center as fast as you can. And again, this is where having a speed of 600 is really useful. And here comes the wave. Get the timing right. Now. There you go. Your bit of overheating as you go through. Don't worry about that. Just keep boosting. Don't forget to drop your caustic sinks when they fill up. Stay calm. And keep going. And already we can start to see the asteroids that are sitting around the Titan. And once we're amongst those, we'll stop taking caustic damage. So if you're fast, one sink could get you in and out if you've got it engineered for extra ammo. But it never hurts to have backup. I'm going to eject that one. There we go, and there's the looming awesome shape of the Titan itself. And that's how big it is. This is a long range beam laser, and I'm not even hitting it. Now I'm hitting it. That's 6 kilometers away, which gives you an idea of just how big this thing is. It's humongous. Put some pips in weapons, it might work a bit better. There we go. Alright, so I've cooled myself down artificially. I would have dropped down naturally anyway. Now, to find the parts of the Titan where the captives are being kept, be careful, because they are very near the moor of the Titan where you see the ships coming in and out, and they are up and down these ridges where you can see these ridges of red dots. This is the area that you want to be in. Just below the moor of the Titan itself, which means you could easily be spotted by nearby ships. So again, I'm just going to use a beam laser, and then you'll have to switch between analysis and combat mode if you're going to use a beam laser, because the extraction missile wants to be in analysis mode. Hit the Titan with the pulse wave scanner. And here's your spots lighting up. That's a tissue limpet point. That's a tissue limpet point. That's a tissue limpet point. So they are as well. So maybe I have to get in a little bit closer. There we go. There we go. Titan subsurface storage chamber. Now this is where, when I said gather rate is really important, I'm going to release my collector limpets first so that they're ready to grab these things as soon as they come out. Okay, depending on your hardpoint placement, you may have to fire a few missiles to zero in, like that. And then it's just like subsurface. Hold down, release when you see the yellow bar, or whatever colour the bar is in your UI. Boom, there you are. And you see how quickly those pods are released. This is why you want your collectors out and ready. And this is why it favours the Universal Limpet Controller as well, because you get about 8 pods released, so being able to pick them all up as fast as possible and get on to the next one is ideal. And there you go, it's picked them up already. So we can just work our way along these now, as many as we can, until we're full or we're being attacked and have to make a run for it. Be very careful. I don't know whether it's because of the number of pods that I've been rescuing or what it is, but sometimes the Titan will fire its force field thingy, and if you get caught inside that, it knocks your modules for 6 and damages your hull and everything. So this is another reason where your AFMU and having a universal limpet is very useful, because you can repair yourself. But so I don't know if being probed too much is what makes it kick off the force field, or whether there's some other reason for it. And so far, touch wood, I'm picking these up quite well. And that's 25 pods, so that's not bad going at all. That was a tough one. Coming out just from the edge like that, virtually no time to react. Don't always get those right. So the ship does start shooting at you. If you can hug the Titan like this, stay close to the walls, a lot of its damage won't actually touch you. If it does start taking you down fast, then you can try and sneak around the Titan and see if you can hide within the nooks and crannies of it, or if all else fails, boost away into the asteroid field, try and lose your pursuer in the asteroid field, and then come back, sit under the Titan and repair yourself. Or alternatively, just cut and run with what you've picked up already. You can also look here on contacts to see if there are any more subsurface storage chambers. There aren't on this part of the Titan. So we're going to move around a bit. Really done a nice job on the design of these. They look so otherworldly and weird. Honestly think they've done a great job on those. Here we go, there's a few more subsurface chambers here. There we go. And again, there's that insignia. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Is it just put in there because they know that we're going to go? What does that mean? And that's what it means. It's there for the players to head scratch about. It's just that awkward hardpoint placement on the clipper. You get used to it after a while, but it may take you a few shots to zero in. And look at how fast those pods shoot out of there. You can see they fly out of the ship, fly out of the Titan to quite some way. Like they're forced out of there by air pressure or something. And they really shoot out of the Titan quite fast and quite far. And so being able to gather as many as possible, as fast as possible, is the aim. You don't want too many of them drifting away. You certainly don't want to be going and chasing after them and risk being spotted by ships, which will really spoil your day. Case in point. Oops. Whoa, now I am being fired at. So I'm going to boost away.
Under attack.
And I may just cut my losses and go and hand these in, because 74 is quite good. Hanging around to go and get another 8 is probably not really worth it. But I've lost my pursuer, so I could go back and carry on sampling if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to take those 74 back to my carrier and bank them. And just come in and do small sorties like that rather than large ones. And yeah, there's that interceptor catching up to me again and having a pop. So sticking around just to repair myself to pick up another 8 pods, no, I think I'll just take these back and come back for another load. And again, this is where having a decent speed and the ability to perma boost is really going to help you out. And even with 74 tons on board, this clipper is boosting to 600, 605 there, and it's able to do that every 5 seconds. It's got enough hold to just about keep it alive while it gets in and out, and just about enough caustic protection as well. When I came in the Corvette, it worked, but it was also slower, and I needed a lot more caustic sinks to get me through the cloud and back. So yeah, it really does matter. If you can add a bit of speed to the equation, it's like any other rescue. Your best weapon is speed. Oh, I just got hit by a caustic generator. Ouch. That's always a risk, of course, going in and out of the cloud. But we'll just keep going. 57% hull. Module's temporarily disabled, but back online now. No longer taking caustic damage. And notice that both caustic sinks activated because I did actually power down for a minute. Usually I'd turn one of them off so that they're not both filling up at once. Otherwise there's no real point in taking 2. Okay. We're out of there. We're out of mass lock. We're not taking caustic anymore. We're in free space. So let's get the hell out of here before we get interdicted. And that's it, a successful rescue run on the Titan. It doesn't always go that smoothly. I've died a few times doing this. I've also tried it in various ships, and quick hit and run trips like this in the Clipper work quite well for me. I didn't need to use my automatic field maintenance unit, so I could have taken an extra hull for cargo, but like I say, I'm not stressing it. If I'm going in there picking up 60, 70 a time relatively fast and getting out with them, then that's good enough for me. And it seems to be my evening for loops of shame. That's what you get for talking and not concentrating. But yeah, the Clipper for me is a great ship to do it in, but people are going in there in all sorts. Anacondas, Phantoms, Corvettes, Cutters. Really depends on your play style. What do you want to do? Do you want to tank a bit of damage as you go in? Do you want to be able to fight them a bit when you're in there? Then take a shield tank, hull tank, cutter with weapons on it. Otherwise, whatever you choose. If you've got the Imperial rank, the Clipper is a great choice. The Orca is also a good choice, so is the Phantom. But really, it doesn't matter what you're using. As you can see, you're not picking up masses and masses and masses. You're picking up groups of 8. So that gives you a wide variety of ships that you can use, because they don't need masses of cargo space to just get in there, grab a few samples quickly, well, a few pods quickly, and get out. And I guess you could make a do-it-all ship that would go in there, maybe grab a few samples from the Titan while you're there. Maybe at some point that will become necessary, but right here, right now, it's all about getting the people that have been held captive inside the Titans and taking them to a rescue ship. Not just any old search and rescue contact. It has to be a rescue ship. And we'll go into the reasons why that is once I transferred these over. And there you are, I've picked up 183 from Tyrannus. And that's a run, ready to go again. And there you have it. The new subsurface missile works. If you saw the last video or two, you'll remember me talking about the barnacle matrix sights, which look to be a feature of update 17, with FDev doing that trailer video for it. Rescuing pods from Titans has resulted in a development there. Thanks to testing by Etribio and others, we've found out that rescuing pods from Titans helps to clear all of the Counterstrike systems around that Titan, whether they're barnacle matrix sites or not, with about 5 pods being worth 1 sample. Legong has already been cleared of Counterstrike systems, and it can only be a matter of time before all of the Counterstrikes are gone, and the zone for new systems to become Counterstrike systems gets reduced. Also, you'll remember from my last video that I've been surprised that the Tharnicles have been around for almost 2 months now, and they've even had a trailer video for update 17 featuring them, but so far they've had no mention at all in Galnet, which I found not only strange but deliberately not mentioned, especially when their presence has an immediate effect on gameplay, as the Matrix sites have, making the control systems they appear in impossible to clear, until now. It may be Counterstrike systems only, and not every control with the sites in, and we can't rule out more appearing in future, but having a way to affect some of them is a start. So now we have a definite proven connection between the captives held on board a Titan and the Counterstrike systems around that Titan. Are they Counterstrikes in more than one way? We've only thought of them as invasions from space, or hyperspace, but what about Counterstrike operations that are ground-based? Back when the idea of Counterstrike systems was introduced, and Darren, before he left FDev, was talking about them on Frameshift Live, we were given the impression that they represented the direction of expansion in some not fully explained way. I've talked about the speculation that human captives could be reprogrammed and sent against us, so let's run with that and imagine that they would be sent to the matrix sites once the matrix sites have fully grown into ground bases. That's maybe why the revenants first appeared at our own settlements, but only the military ones, to study them before making military ground bases of their own, which is what these matrix sites are going to grow into. So with this clearing process, did they just forget to include matrix sites, or is there another reason for this connection between the Titans, the human captives, and the Counterstrike systems? If it's intentional, it could be part of a future gameplay loop to repel the Titan. So to repel the Titan, you need to clear its control systems. The matrix systems, they anchor it, and maybe in future they'll get ways to create new ones. So first you need to clear enough controls in general so that the matrix sites end up in Counterstrike systems. Then use Titan rescues to clear that matrix. Then use the territorial advantage that gives you to clear more controls to push the next matrix into the Counterstrike zone while shrinking the Counterstrike zone. It would also explain why Titans can't place controls by themselves. And since the Tharnical sites are going to be a big part of Update 17, we may well find the Matrix sites remain even if the system is recaptured. This article seems to confirm the idea that the Matrix sites are not fully formed, whether they're growing into the Thargoid equivalent of military ground settlements or not, and interestingly it mentions vast forces at work underground, mention of earthquakes and so on, plus massive amounts of electromagnetic radiation at the sites. There's a lot of activity going on underground, it seems, perhaps as these things push their way up to the surface and expand. Or perhaps the tunnels and chambers that Shojin talked about, and which we assume to be to do with the captives in the Titans, could these matrix sites develop into bases with underground sections to explore? That would be very cool. We're only just over a week away from Update 17, where something to do with the matrix sites is going to happen. Meanwhile, the new discovery about the connection between captives and Counterstrikes is fascinating, and we'll have to see what Update 17 brings in terms of non-Counterstrike matrix systems and if we get a way to affect those. So unless anything exceptional happens before then, I'll probably wait to see what shakes down after Update 17 before doing the next one. So until then, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and don't just watch the skies. Keep an eye on the ground as well.